Ice Storm 98, Jimmie D. Big shout out to Jimmy. When he came through to pick the beat that he was gonna rhyme on, he ended up picking a beat that I recorded the night before J-Red had came through, and the night I was going through the MPC to see, if I could find any extra things that I was missing out on or whatever. And there was this real villainous loop that I had, didn't add any drums to it, just had this loop going. And he ended up picking that, and so that night he was, going through lyrics and seeing, starting to paint the picture, you could say, and he recorded a little bit on it just to get a feel for the track. And I told him, I was like, yo, I think we should call the track Ice Storm 98, and I'll try to find some cuts that go with that vibe, and so basically what was coming up was like a 25th anniversary of the Ice Storm 98, in Montreal and everywhere around Montreal in this part of the country. Even the northeast states got hit up. So from that first session with Jimmy, Jimmy was down with the ideas, like yeah, let's call it Ice Storm 98. And then a little bit of time passed, and the actual anniversary was coming up, which I think is like a January 9th. And so when that came up, I was thinking like, oh, maybe I should hit up Jimmy to tell him, like, it's the anniversary. But then again, I was like, you don't want to push an artist to record on a specific thing, like on a specific day, as if there's a deadline. It's like, you don't want to push the art. But Jimmy hits me up that day, and he's like, yo, it's the anniversary today. I'm not superstitious, but maybe. And I was like, yeah, for sure. So let's do it. And so I got home and had a bit of time before he was gonna reach up and record the track. And I was like, oh, let me make sure I find something from the Ice Storm to put on the track before he gets here. And I couldn't really find anything from like CF12 or CBC, CTV type of stuff. So I started, going to the American stuff, and I think it was either a Burlington or a Vermont, type of newscast that was mentioning Montreal and had exactly what, when I heard it, I was like, oh, that's perfect. And then at that moment, the dude who was doing the guy's name was Jim, so Jimmie D, Jim. And the guy who was out in the field doing the news broadcast in the middle of the ice storm had head to toe North Face Gore-Tex mountain jacket, like Gore-Tex mountain jacket, Gore-Tex pants. And I was just like, wow, like, so Jimmy, the idea, like, here's our cuts for the track, and also the idea for the video is right here. I just got, like, shout out to Macer, I just got this one piece that looks exactly like a mountain jacket, but a one-piece mountain jacket, and I'll play the reporter in the video, and then you do your thing, and it'll just, all the ideas were just naturally, came to us from the universe, and so we just had to follow those signs, and the rest was just easy, and then there was other things that followed. So like when all these ideas were there, Jimmy was like, oh, like, my sister has a global news mic, and I was like, oh man, if you could find that, like, amazing, that sounds perfect, so ended up getting that prop. And then at the same time, I think from his sister as well, he got a Ice Storm 98 book, like stories from the ice storm. And then at the same time, we told LEMME KNO what the idea of the whole video was. So a couple days later, he was going to a Village des Valeurs, Salvation Army type of thing. Asked the person who was working there, like, hey, do you guys have any books on the ice storm? And they came back a couple minutes later with this images from the ice storm. And so the stories from the ice storm and the images from the ice storm book were from the same series. So that's what you see us sitting on the couch looking at the beginning of the video, and it's just crazy how that even came together on top of that. So yeah, man. And in terms of the kicks, Jimmy just, he killed it, Jimmy style in the Tims, went perfect with what he was doing, and that's Jim, And then I wanted to wear something that would kind of go with the suit but be unique to Montreal as well. So the Montreal Bagel Dunks had just dropped not too long ago, and shout out to Sneaker Fiend and shout out to Bagger Vance, who did the whole lineup overnight weight thing, and Bagger brought some pastrami treated smoked salmon. It was the best smoked salmon I ever had in my life, eating it in like minus 10, 15 weather. in a full North Face suit, just warm. But it was a fun experience. So to bring that sneaker, and shout out to Sneaker Fiend. He had the salmon laces. He gifted me the salmon laces that day before I even had the sneakers like in my hand. So had to put that together and rock that in the video. It was important to be, it's not about being first, but I had the opportunity to be the first to rock the Montreal Bagel Dunk in a video, and I did it, and I'm proud of that, and it made sense with everything that was going on in the video. So yeah, man, Ice Storm 98. Oh, and I can't forget that after we made the video and we were really happy with the piece of art that we made, an ice storm actually happens. So 25 years later, out of nowhere, we do this commemorative track for Ice Storm 98, and then the first ice storm in 25 years happens. It's kind of ridiculous, and energy's real, and yeah, man, shout out to that.